So, throughout all the bad stuff that has happened in this country ever since I've been alive, and then the previous 250 years before then, what happened yesterday, I feel as though it's giving me a little bit more hope that we're gonna be good. That in 2 to 5 years, that this place won't implode on itself and that we'll still all be here chilling. Fingers crossed. If you've been living under a rock, there's been about 1,000 wars that have taken place across from us, and we're paying for it all. I know that we did not sign up for that, nor did any politician ask for our opinion and input, but I guess since we live here, they thought that we'd be okay with it by default. So we've shelled out, I don't know, maybe like 40 billion, maybe more dollars to another country to fight in a war that we're not a part of. And despite the fact that we have 1,001 issues here that we could pay for to, fix, I guess that takes precedent. And it's pissed me off ever since it started, really. But the one thing that I've noticed is that the reporting on it has been so one-sided. And that's not surprising. I mean, that's what everything in this country, and that's essentially how propaganda works, because that's a lot of how I see this, is us being fed a bunch of stuff that the higher-ups want us to believe. They want us to think a certain way. Therefore, they force feed it as if there's no other perspective whatsoever. And it doesn't just happen in war, but I'll get to those in a second. As far as this goes, the idea is that it's been Ukraine good, Russia bad, and that's it. Now, this and like everything else that I talk about, it's not some type of campaign to get you to pick a side, white or black, Ukraine or Russia, Republican or Democrat. You like whoever you want, you vote for whoever you want. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as long as you know what's going on. And truth be told, we don't know what the hell is going on. But honestly, it's really through no fault of our own. Certain information is withheld purposefully to drive a narrative. And to a degree, that was snapped yesterday when Tucker Carlson took his ass to Russia to interview Vladimir Putin, which has not taken place up to this point because all it's been is the president of Ukraine coming over here asking for money, having sit-downs with the president, other politicians, taking money from us, getting magazine covers on the Financial Times, pimping us out like there's no tomorrow, taking whatever dignity we have left and telling us to shove it up our ass. It's getting ridiculous because at this point, I mean, we're already a bajillion, gazillion, whatever other big word, dollars in debt. The point is, it's bad, but we've only heard one side of it. He went over to Russia, interviewed Vladimir Putin. They talked, like I said, you can watch it and discern for yourself of who you like or whatever. But the point is not even what was said. It's just the simple action of doing that. And I don't think it's that hard to do it. But because of its ease, you can tell why people purposefully choose to force feed one narrative in people's faces. And you can see it all over in every area of life, pop culture, politics, education. It doesn't matter. People will pick what it is that they want you to believe in an effort to control you. And I feel like I've been privy to this for a while, but when I saw this video, it just confirmed my suspicions. Now, they're not obviously going to come out and say, hey, we're trying to control you guys in X, Y, or Z manner, but it's pretty obvious. After Tucker Carlson got fired last year from Fox, AOC, who I love her passion, so I'll give her that, but she made a video basically celebrating this man's firing or parting ways. Whatever the hell happened, she was throwing a party in her car recording this video. And before I say anything, I just want you to listen to it. It's these people showing us who they are. They might not explicitly say it, but this is all you need to see to know who these people are.
Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. What I will say, though, is while I'm very glad that the person that was arguably responsible for some of the largest, driving some of the most amounts of death threats and violent threats, not just to my office, but to plenty of people across the country. I also kind of feel like I'm like waiting for the cutscene at the end of a Marvel movie after all the credits have rolled. And then you see like the villain's like hand reemerge out to grip over like the end of a building or something. But deplatforming works, and it is important. And there you go. Good things can happen.
I mean, I guess she was right. Like, he's back and bigger than ever, and shout out to Don Lemon as well, because the same thing happened with him at CNN, and now he's doing his own thing, which is phenomenal, because that's how it should be. But besides her spot-on prediction of them, like, coming back and being bigger and better than ever, her, like, celebratory 2-second moment praising the concept of deplatforming is crazy. But that's who these people are. Politicians and the people who control them, that's how these people operate. They want to dumb us down. They want to ensure that we're simple-minded. That way they can control us. And please, don't just take it from me. Don't just take it from her, who's like low-key telling us what it is that they're doing and how they operate. I saw this put into practice. Now, me just kind of making fun of the situation, I can think it's an experiment that the government pulled to just test how mush they've made our brains. But in all seriousness, this was a real situation that occurred in which the President of the United States, ideally the most powerful man in the entire world, or among them at least, gave a speech and forgot about what he was talking about halfway through and finished with gibberish. You want to know what happened? The crowd went wild, as if he just effectively stated the best monologue of his life.
Go teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
And I'm not just picking on him to like pick a side or whatnot. This is politicians across the board, right? Who will either speak gibberish or they will lie to you and just straight up insult your intelligence as if you were born yesterday. But they're hoping that's the case because they want to control people. And let me just allude to something that happened recently that I feel resonates with everyone, because we all went through it 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Easily the craziest time in my 23 years of living now. Between COVID and what seemed like a police shooting occurring every other day, it was a wild time to be alive. Straight up. And I don't even want to talk about COVID anymore. I've talked about it a bajillion times. I've had it like 3 times. I just want to be done with it. But let me ask you a question. When's the last time you heard anything about Black Lives Matter? Like, truly heard about large-scale protests or any outrage on social media or anything presented by the news as to the doings of this organization in the past 2 years? Because guess what? I haven't heard one peep out of them since 2020 after the election was over, right? But I thought the whole thing was we got to get outraged about police killings when it comes to white police officers shooting and killing black people. Now, unfortunately, some situations are justified. Other situations that are unjustified, yes, you should get outraged about. But why haven't I heard anything in the past 2 years? Did police killings just stop? In 2023, it was recorded that at least 224 black people have been shot and killed by police. And it was also described as the deadliest year when it comes to police shootings in a decade. But I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen any videos, no protests, no riots, nothing. Why is that, you ask? Control. This stuff is planned out thoroughly. If you look at the trend of when Black Lives Matter is talked about the most, searched the most, when there's the most activity, it's always during an election season, whether it's a midterm or the big boy election every 4 years. And it doesn't just stop there. The general consensus is that Democrats are for black people, the working class, middle class, poor people, protected classes, etc. Republicans, they're for white people, rich people, corporations, you name it. That's who they're for. And I'm not saying there's not any truth to those assertions at all, but what I am saying is that they are simplistic generalizations to make people feel better about voting for who they vote for without doing the thorough research to truly figure out who it is that they're trying to put in office. So when we had a Republican president, all you saw every other day was a black person who was filmed being shot and or killed by the police. Justification didn't matter. It didn't matter if that person burned down a whole freaking city block and the police officers blicked them up. Everyone was in the streets rioting and protesting and making their voice heard. And Black Lives Matter, they're on social media. They're doing these interviews in which they're spreading their message to try to combat white police officers from killing black people. They're selling hats, bumper stickers, license plates, t-shirts, the whole nine. As soon as Joe Biden, a Democratic president, gets elected, he fits the status quo for what we believe that president is going to be. He's a Democrat, therefore he's for us. He's going to take care of us, and all this is going to stop. And since then, I haven't heard a single thing from these people at all, as if police shootings just vanished off the face of the planet, when in fact they were worse last year than they've been in the past decade. But the lack of coverage, right? The lack of videos, the lack of outrage from these people, that's not, on accident, or, they just been falling asleep at the wheel and they're not privy to what's going on. No, they're 100% aware of what's going on. But it doesn't fit the narrative to be outraged about police officers killing black people when we're not in the middle of an election season, right? When there's something to gain or something to lose at a political level, right? And then especially with the president that we have in place. But I'm sitting there and looking, I'm like, where was that in 2023? Where was that in 2022? Where was that in 2021? This stuff is by design. It's not on accident. How people facilitate the news and they drive certain narratives, that is purposefully done to get us, the masses, to believe whatever it is that they want to believe. But doing something like this, going to a country in which a bajillion other people wouldn't dare step foot in or step foot back in, to do something as ballsy as interview the president of that country who clearly doesn't think too highly of us, that's extremely important, and it gives someone like me so much hope for good change that can occur in this country. Because it's getting serious, man. We got wars left and right, people changing who they are every other day. Kids are like the newfound target for every bad thing that adults want to do, that they want to keep doing. They like target kids to keep that stuff going. It's a bunch of crazy stuff that's happening left and right every single day. So to have people who are willing to show us every single side of it is not only refreshing, but it's important for people to feel as though they have their own capacity to think, that their thought processes and reasoning is not being controlled by singular outside influences. There needs to be differing opinions and perspectives that you can internalize and then figure out where you want to go from there. Especially what we have coming up. The last election was effing wild, so I can only anticipate that this one is going to be that on steroids. So the ability to freely think and keep your wits about you is going to be that much more important now than it has ever been. So shout out to independent journalism. It's more important now than ever. I cannot stress that enough. And be wary of people who try to tear it down, regardless of if they agree or disagree with what is being said or the person who's saying it. Just the fact that they're trying to tear down the notion of multiple point of views and perspectives being brought to the forefront that exist outside the realm of cable news or corrupt politicians is real telling. At that point, they're showing their hand and telling you who they are without actually having to explicitly say it, right? It's clear as day. It's very obvious what these people's objectives are for you and for me, and in no way, shape, or form is it good at all whatsoever. Something to think about.